Hello and welcome everyone. Today on World Oceans Day 2025, we come together under a powerful and a poetic theme that is wonder, sustaining what sustains us. So it's a call not just to appreciate the beauty and mystery of our oceans, but to remember that their very ability to amaze us is deeply connected to their power to sustain our life. So the oceans cover over 70% of our planet and generates at least half of the oxygen that we breathe and supports the livelihood of billions of people across the world. But beyond the statistics lies the something even deeper, a sense of wonder, that feeling of awe when we stand at the shore, witness a coral reef up close, or watch the migration of whales when you're sailing. So it's the wonder that fuels curiosity, science, and innovation. And that's exactly what we are diving into today. So I'm joined by two incredible voices working on the front lines of the ocean conservation and sustainability. Together, we'll explore how wonderful, or how this wonder isn't just a feeling, but it's a force that drives action, responsibility, and a long-term change for our blue planet. So let's begin with the first panelist that I have today is Dr. Seleyi, postdoctoral scientist at Alfred Wegener Institute of Polar and Marine Research, Germany. Dr. Seleyi is marine biologist with over a decade of experience in coastal ecological research, focusing on microbial ecology, biogeochemistry, and blue carbon ecosystems. Her doctoral work explored the role of culturable bacterial communities in carbon outwelling from mangrove-dominated estuaries under varying environmental stresses. She lent her expertise to projects working on ecosystem restoration, carbon cycling, and climate change mitigation. Her work combines field sampling, laboratory experiments, and interdisciplinary data analysis to understand the ecological processes in the ocean environments. She has published her research findings in international journals with high impact factor and represented India in various international and national conferences. She is passionate about applying science to real world environmental solutions. I welcome Dr. Sele. Our next panelist is Mr. Shreyaas Prakash, the Vice President and Masters of Environment Sustainability Student Association, Monash University, based in Australia. Shreyaas is a MSc Environment and Sustainability candidate at Monash University and a public policy enthusiast who advocates for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. He is a certified POSCO, and ventilation trainer. With a background in many NGOs and organizations on a national and worldwide level, Shreyas works to achieve holistic innovation in the field of sustainability and education. He has worked previously with some prominent organizations like UNDP India, IASC Sector Skill Council, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. A guest speaker with wealth of experience and delivering speeches to diverse audience across the various platforms. He is a recipient of the Indian Achievers Awards in the social service category, endorsed in 2020 by the Indian Achievers Forum in New Delhi. He was featured at the IIT and IIM Indore, two of the India's most esteemed universities, I5 Summit 30 Under 30, Central India's largest entrepreneurial summit. I welcome Shreyas and I welcome Dr. Sele to this panel.
Thank you so much, Ankita.
Thank you, Akita.
Yeah, so let's begin with I would like to ask Dr. Sele her journey in ocean conservation and how it took you from northeast of India to Germany, and what was it all about oceans, how you got the inspiration to work in this field.
Yeah. Thank you for the very nice introduction, and thank you for this question. Actually, this question has been asked to me in every interview panel that I've gone to. they always invariably ask me like, how come you're from the northeast and like you're in a southern part of India, or you're the northern part of India studying oceanography? Because basically, where I come from, it's totally landlocked. But I just want to like start with saying that wherever you are, your whatever you do, it ultimately impacts the ocean, whether you see it or not, whether it's visible to you, whether it's right in your background, like in your background, or it's in your backyard actually, yeah, or it's uh, many kilometers away from you. Your impact upon the ocean is massive, and every individual should realize that. So just coming to my journey, like this was not a planned journey. I just happened to go through it with very little information in the beginning. It was a very new topic in the Northeast, and particularly in the university that I was applying in. It just started with my bachelor's in fishery science, so it was just that was the beginning of my journey. It was the first college and the first course that was offered there, and like I am the type of person who just likes to do something new. It has to be something different from what everyone else is doing. So that's how I got into it. And while doing my bachelor's, I got really interested through my professors and lecturers, and I heard about the term marine biology. So that's how I decided to then do my master's in marine biology. So from Meghalaya in Shillong, I went all the way to the Andamans in Port Blair to do my master's. So then I was questioned again, the same thing over there. And people were actually questioning me, like, do we need a visa to go there? Like other fellow Indians. I was like, no, no, it's part of India, so we don't need a visa. So that's how I landed up there. And actually, during my time there, I had the opportunity to interact with higher intellectuals, like the PhD, the seniors there, the professors there. So I had this inkling towards research, but I wasn't completely sure because the in the Indian context, the research field is very complicated, and also a little there's resource limitation. So you do have to find a little bit of background to your field, and you have to research a bit on the institutions. So while I was doing my master's, we went to the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, and that is in India, that is still one of the standing institutes which is recognized the world over for its work in marine and oceanography disciplines. So I wanted to target that institute, and luckily I got into it as a research fellow. uh, Initially, I just wanted to do a project. So I got into a project which was already streamlined, and it was a very good training ground for me. And it really helped me to understand whether I am committed to actually do a PhD, because it takes a lot of dedication, and more than hard work and intelligence, it just takes a lot of perseverance and patience. So I just wanted to know the ground truths regarding that. So I spent 2 years just working on a project and trying to find ways to do it or not do it. And finally, I was pulled into it. I wanted to do it, and I got the a 5 year fellowship to do it. So I was very happy, and I chose again an ecosystem which is very crucial to our economy, our ecology, which is the mangroves. So I chose to do research on that, and I'm very happy I chose this environment because it's a very spoken about topic today, the blue carbon, the blue ecology. At that time, when I started my PhD, I didn't realize the impact that's going to have like 5 years from now. But then I'm so happy because this is what is it's a very catchy topic right now. Everyone is talking about it, everyone is working on it. So I'm very happy to do that. And then after my PhD, I was working as a project scientist in the National Institute of Ocean Technology as a in the deep ocean mission. This also has given me a lot of insight into the work that Indian scientists are doing, not only in terms of ecology, but in terms of ocean technology. And I have like very good and positive insights after working in that project, which I'll tell you more. But just I'm just mentioning that now. And again, after that, I just decided that I need to be in an international institute where I just get international exposure, not only for me, but just to understand what is going on world over in terms of oceans and sustainability, and also with regard to research based on carbon. So I was lucky enough that when I was searching, it just happened so that this project was running, and the project I'm working on is also again on another important environment that we have, which are the seagrasses. And I'm very happy to work on this project. And it has, again, it brings into the ocean dynamics. It's looking into restoration. It's identifying zones, potential zones where we can restore seagrass. So this is where I'm at. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, CA, for telling us your journey, and that's definitely inspirational, and especially for the people who want the students, young students, or researchers who want to know about more about it and all. I think this whatever you have told itself is like a good way for them to start about how to think how it is, the journey from Meghalaya to Andamans to Chennai and then to Goa and now to Germany is really really something which is not just luck, but it is definitely your hard work, your patience and perseverance, as you said. So now let me move to our next panelist, Shreyas. We have Shreyas with us. Shreyas, can you tell us about your journey from, starting from India and going to Australia, and how the sustainability and sustainable development goals inspired you to take on this field? Can you please put us to through your journey?
Firstly, thank you for the warm invite, Ankita. It's great to be at the platform of Sustal Global. Also, it's nice to meet Dr. Seleyi as well and hear out, her experience about, where she comes from, and that's very inspiring with that. Well, I think me getting into sustainable development was 2021. And I think, right, it was after my post graduation diploma when I had to do on built environment. The concept of sustainability was something that emerged when I started to, gain into where it is having the current, insights in the market and what it really has to offer with, businesses and stakeholder engagement with not for profit and community development. So my main work that was being focused in my initial space in the starting days was more into ESG, which is environment, social, and governance. And today, ESG is one of those platforms which helps us to measure the success of impact, of nature and business that comes in together. And I believe we did have conversations back in UNDP as well, that one point of time where I could also, gain knowledge in that forum about oceans and sustainability, more connecting to the nature from businesses as well. And I think coming to Australia all the way was not at all part of the plan ever. It was something which I got to know through my research that the country stands out, the continent technically stands out more in terms of sustainability as one of the greatest scope in terms of the work they do, the practices that are being followed. And as you can see, Australia being an island as well, we have like, major cities where people occupy towards. But the most of the land over here is that it's quite big over here. In fact, if we compare demographically and geographically compared to India as well, the size of Australia as an island is quite huge. And the most of the settlement is the nature and the forest and facing the oceans. So this is one thing which we have a good chance. In fact, me put up here in Melbourne, I'm one of the luckiest persons to be in the city because I witness nature at its own course in different ways. Well, Melbourne is a city which gets moody every now and then. Now we are going through our extreme winter periods right now, blizzards right now. In fact, we are going to go through that. And we face on one side of the oceans, the other side is the, mountains and the valleys. So it's always, very grateful to be part of the nature and witness two sides of what is happening, facing down to the Antarctic, right to, the Pacific Ocean. and having Tasmania as well in the south. So Melbourne experiences extreme winds and climate change. So if it's raining over here for 5 minutes, the next minute it is also sunny over here. So this is all part of the game of the nature that's taking us through different courses. So if you can understand that today, when we talk about global warming and global impact that's happening around, if it's going in a very negative way that is being caused on account of different reasons and different purposes, then this is one of the cities where that gets to experience the weather change very frequently, which was not the case like in 20 years or 10 years back. The weather used to be stable, and today we're going through fierce weather conditions. So what we give, we get back to the nature. It's a give and take policy, and that's how we need to protect our nature. That's very extremely important, and I think people are doing that right now. And here, of course, my bio is being well explained that I'm here doing my master's in sustainable development. So at the same time, while also trying to connect in terms of sustainable development as my knowledge, I'm trying to gain my knowledge about nature over here as well, being here and also experiencing it and networking with, people from different countries and places coming around. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shreyas, for answering the question. And actually, this is where Sasalt Global is, paving a bridge between people like Dr. Say, who has like a vast knowledge about oceans and the conservation part, and then we have Mr. Shreyas, who is, like the masters in sustainability. He has already worked a lot in ESG and the businesses. So there has to be a bridge wherein my organization comes into picture, wherein we bring people from nature conservation part and the aspect of businesses. So there has to be a bridge, because I think the world cannot be done in one way, right? We cannot only do conservation without having businesses, and businesses will not sustain if we don't take care of the nature. So it has to go hand in hand. And then my next question to both the panelists, so you may decide who will speak first, is like, when we talk about ocean conservation and we have sustainable development goals, then ocean is coming under the SDG 14, that is life underwater. And it is connected to climate change, that is climate action, which comes under SDG 13. So as Shreyas has rightly pointed, that climate change is negatively affecting the countries, not just Australia but all across the world. So how important is ocean conservation, and how sustainability can help us mitigate or adapt in this climate change avenue? And maybe we can start with Dr. Say first.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for the question, and you're very right, Ankita. We do need a bridge between research that is being carried out and then the ESG and the businesses part that the organizations do and individuals like Shreyas are doing. So that is a very important part. Now, coming to your question regarding sustainability and oceans. Uh, when we talk about sustainability, or when we're working on sustainable action for the oceans, we don't ask, or we are not asking the users, the consumers, or people who are benefiting from it to completely to completely deplete it. We want them to utilize it in a very conscious way so that the resources are available for the future generations. So this is how we are looking at sustainability. So in a way, when we were doing our research, we find that suppose we talk about fisheries, this is a very bottom up as well as a top down effect that we have, that it starts from as small as microscopic organisms like planktons. So if your plankton community is not healthy, ultimately it impacts the fishery output, because that's how the food chain works in the coastal and marine environments. Now we also have the other ecosystems. For example, we can take the mangrove ecosystem or the seagrass ecosystem, which supply nutrients and organic and inorganic carbon to the environment, wherein the plankton take it up and then it goes up to the life cycle and through the food chain. And this is where our fisher folk benefit from it. So there is a very defined chain. So if we are not conserving our environment, we don't get nutrients that are needed for the plankton to flourish. And this impacts the fishery output. This impacts the ecology. This impacts the economy of the people who are dependent on it. So this is a very like a very deep connection that or and a massive connection between all the factors which are involved in sustainable action. So as being a scientist or being from the research community, we are able to give the background data of what is actually happening in the environment, or what is actually working or not working in the environment. We have researchers, not me, but other colleagues who are working on identifying the potential fishing zones so that the fisher folk don't keep on fishing just in one area. They find other fishing zones so that their economy and their income is also not impacted, but they have other places to fish as well, which will not impact the fishing community, the fish population as well. So that is one example of how we are doing ocean sustainability. Second is also how we are identifying the marine protected areas. So we have a vast coastline, we have like a vast ocean, we have like many resources. And in one of the projects that I was working on in the National Institute of Ocean Technology, it is called the Deep Ocean Mission, and it is still a running project, and it is a very well funded project by the Indian government, where scientists are being deployed into the deep oceans of the Arabian Sea, of the Bay of Bengal, of the Indian Ocean, to identify any resources that we have, which could potentially be used in biotechnology, in engineering, any ecological pollution, or mitigating heavy metal pollution, for example, plastic pollution, any kind of bacteria, any kind of organisms that could help. And ultimately, the goal is to identify these marine protected areas. And so, this is how another way of how we're looking into ocean sustainability. And we just have to be also very conscious about sensitive coastal habitats where uh, there is turtle breeding happening there. It's a space for migratory birds. Those are the kind of spaces that we have to be conscious about, even if we are not in directly in research, or if we are not directly involved in organizations working in sustainability. Just being a lay person, the consciousness also works a lot, that these are sensitive zones, that this is an area where we have to project it, that it has to be you know protected, it has to be
Yeah, every action counts and the
yeah,
conscience matters.
yes.
Okay, so maybe may I ask Shreyas to put light on the sustainability part of it, like how businesses will be like affected if conservation is not done in a sustainable way.
Well, I think businesses have an option. Before, it used to just be an option for them to, like, not do it or not. It was not a compulsory thing for them. But I think with the coming of a lot of regulatory frameworks, like I was talking about the ESG and policies around, it has become for not just businesses but also people who are resilient to coastal communities. So we talk about factories, we talk about different startups. Many of them are into different recycling companies are there. So everyone needs to depend on the water, on different capacities. In fact, say for instance, in Australia, I used to work in Perth with a company which used to do hard plastic recycling management in the waters. And this is something where they do it in the Indian Ocean. So technically that's something for them. They have to adapt it and do it, because this concept goes with the principles of what circular economy educates us about. So before we can also like get into what businesses and everything do, it is highly a basic thing, a safety precaution that, people need to be extremely careful while dealing with, water bodies or oceans, because today we have also heard about various instances like, crude oil spillage in the waters. And, this can completely lead to destruction of marine life as well. And like Dr. Seleyi has also mentioned that, fishing, overfishing as well is something which can always create a, imbalance in the oceans as well. They should be like, proper, and this can only be done through, organizations can play a, businesses and organizations can today come in the forward in the form of not-for-profits. They can play a pivotal role in capacity programs for, fishermen in the communities, educate them about what it is important for them to do and which are these areas and how they could do it as well. Although they have been
The
doing this for
sustainable practices
generations.
you mean.
Exactly, exactly. So sustainable practices can, vary. It just needs to be done in a very, responsible way as well. For example, just to be very quick, we have, Great Ocean. So the Great Barrier Reef, which is being put up towards, Brisbane and Queensland, the state of Queensland. Now, I visited the Great Barrier Reef first time when it was 2013, and I'd gone for my first snorkeling experience over there. I think the amount of reefs and corals I had visited that time was quite immense. It was quite beautiful to see corals. And then I think this time it was just a year back when I took a drive all around like, Cairns, which is in Queensland. And I could see that, the corals are reducing right now. And this is something, although there are like, reef conservation agencies, there is something, the Great Barrier Reef agencies, people, they come in the ferries when tourists do travel, they come check, they do the, the water analysis, how everything is there. Now, what has happened is everything has become more of an artificial look. They're trying to like create, glass houses for people just to see the protected coral reefs and to take them around. That's why they're not able to like show the larger part of what the corals do exist. So what is there? They're trying to protect those marine life over there, and tourists are able to also experience it over there. Well, I think I got one, during a communication of the underwater dives, one of the divers did mention that people usually go down to touch the corals and they, break it as well. So they try to also damage it in different ways, but also at the same time, stingrays are something which gets very dangerous. You don't go to diving very deep, which can also be very harmful to you, because that is where, the corals are kind of being protected and being overlooked over there. But then I have seen, and I talk about today in World Oceans Day, more than conservation, more than businesses, I think we need to stick back to our nature. And that is what a theme for 2025 also speaks, that we need to think back to what the nature says. And ideally, I've tend to realize that, by being close to the nature, I've started to visualize that what's happening around right now and what we are seeing today, the day-to-day activities where we are participating or, we are going and traveling down to such places. And it seems that it's being in a very, it's not going the right way at the moment. So that gives us like, we don't have to think about 10 years down the line as well. Maybe we need to be, afraid that the next 2 years also is something which is going to be dangerous for them to disappear. We're not going to have marine life. Today, for example, the 12 Apostles, which is one of the famous, sites in the Great Ocean Road, I can honestly say that there are only like 8 apostles left, and 4 rocks have just disappeared in the ocean. Now, this is decreasing right now, and soon you will never see none of the apostles also. And that's something, you could see like everything is going down right now. And technically, we being in Australia and me staying over here, we are one of those islands where we are in potential threat. Tomorrow we could go underwater as well. It could be like, major continents, major countries that, are highly, located to the water and quite dependent as well. So I could only say that we need to start being more responsible at our end with small things we can do. And I think it's just a, call of action at this point of time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seleyi and Mr. Shreyas, for giving us your experience and sharing such a crucial information with us. And I hope that this video will reach to a lot of people and create awareness. And we will get back to you again in another episode, and we will dive deeply on this. With shortage of time, we have to close down this window at this moment. Thank you so much for giving your time and your wisdom, sharing the wisdom with us, and wishing you all a very happy World Oceans Day. Let's respect nature, conserve it, and think sustainably. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Akita.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.